Let us travel back in time, down to the state of Tennessee. Hillsborough, 1925.
Clarence Darrow was an attorney for he was a private attorney, but he was hired by the American Civil Liberties Union to try the case or defend John Scopes. Scopes was a teacher in Tennessee that decided to create what's called a test case before a court to challenge Tennessee's law against teaching evolution in the classroom. And so the ACLU took up his financial burden and hired Clarence Darrow to take the case for him. The attorney prosecuting the case for the state of Tennessee was William Jennings Bryan, who was a three-time candidate for the President of the United States and was what we call today a fundamentalist evangelical Christian who believed that the world was literally created in 6 days, and so he agreed to take on the case on behalf of the state of Tennessee. So what happened was the case basically boiled down to almost like a show trial. Darrow actually put Jennings Bryan on the stand to actually be a quote-unquote expert witness on the literal, we'll call it the precision of the Bible. And Jennings Bryan proceeds to make a fool of himself on the bench. However, the judge essentially tells the jury that they have to not worry about all the surrounding issues about creation and evolution, but instead they're supposed to basically adjudicate on whether or not Scopes had indeed violated the law, which was to teach evolution in the classroom, which of course he did, and so he was found guilty. The trial became such a huge ordeal that it became a national media event, and it kind of made Tennessee and its law look a little ridiculous because of the testimony that Bryan gave and other quote-unquote experts. And so Bryan wins the case, but essentially Tennessee will eventually let go of the law. A lot of other states that had laws against evolution dropped them. And of course now, evolution is taught in the classroom, and it's the reverse. People who want to talk about the Christian story of evolution are being told that they can't teach it in the school. So it's the complete opposite that we have today.
My father was born in 1918 in Ohio. I believe he picked up his interest in writing through my grandmother's influence. After graduating from Wesleyan back in Ohio, he began his involvement in the World War II as an expert consultant to the Secretary of War. Both my grandmother and the war had heavy influences on his writing. My father met Mr. Lawrence in New York. I think it was 1945. And he started a 50-year partnership. Like my father, Mr. Lawrence was quite active in war. He also was a Secretary of War consultant and an Army correspondent in North Africa and Italy. They accomplished a lot together. Not only were they writing partners for dramas, but they also founded the Armed Forces Radio during World War II and produced radio programs such as CBS. They won a lot of awards for their work. A Lifetime Achievement Award, Tony nominations, a Pegasus Award, and a key to the city of Cleveland twice, not once. Dad became a professor of playwrights at UCLA, and Mr. Lawrence went to New York and Baylor University as master playwright. They were named Fellows of American Theater in Washington, D.C. in 1990. Dad passed away 4 years later.
The fact that this person is selling fans shows that there is an intense heat in the environment. That, plus the fact that it is sponsored by a funeral home, foreshadows that there will be a death later on in the play.
The constant appearances of biblical allusions serve as a reminder of the battle between fundamentalism and evolutionism. Cates takes on the role of Jesus in this case, as he is condemned for his teachings, even though they were not necessarily immoral. Although the initial basis for the trial was on teaching evolution in the local school, Drummond proves that this restriction is also an attack on individual thought. He fears that the court should have no say on whether or not an individual is allowed to pursue his own beliefs, or in this case, question the status quo.
This illustrates the basic argument in the trial between Cates and Brady. Brady represents the fundamentalist in the sense that he follows a strict interpretation of the Bible. Cates, on the other hand, represents the other end of the spectrum, as he supports evolutionism and is willing to question the set of beliefs of the town.
While Brady argues for a strict creationalist view of the Bible, this passage also shows that he represents the provincial viewpoint of small-town people. He tries to criticize Drummond, the lawyer from Chicago, on his unconventional fashion style, and Drummond fights back in reply. This illustrates the conflict between the simple life of small towns and the extravagant life of big cities.
Hello, Mr. Devil. Welcome to hell.
In a world where free thought is suppressed by the government, one man stands up against the tyranny. Bertram Cates is that man. Hillsborough, Tennessee is the place. Cates, a simple schoolteacher, stands convicted in court as a tarnished man, a man who preaches the blasphemy of evolution in a society that teaches creationism and condemns all else. Henry Drummond steps up, alone, to Cates' defense. He will fight for a world that will treat all people, man and woman, child and ape, fairly. He, with the devil as his advocate, seeks to change the world one liberated mind at a time. Opposing is Matthew Harrison Brady, a strong advocate of the Bible and defender of tradition. The battleground has been set for the fight of the century as two legal combatants argue for their beliefs. What is more important, tradition or progress? We will soon find out.